Hello, everybody, and welcome to our second episode, May 23rd, 2023. It is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I am one of the co-hosts, Regina Rossi-Lamothe, and I'm here with my other co-host, Dr. Raquel Stuart. Hey. We've got a great show tonight. We're really excited. Um, we are going to talk about a lot of different things, but just a quick reminder before I get Raquel to start us off. If you haven't had an opportunity to watch our show, we are streaming everywhere. So we are under Rise and Thrive Together on our Facebook page, on our Instagram account, and our YouTube channel. That's right. That beautiful logo that was created by my friend Raquel is everywhere. So follow us on there. And we're streaming on my personal page, Raquel's personal page. We are streaming in Laws of Life, Blanca Purper's page, and we always get the replays on Roku TV, Laws of Life by Blanca. And you just gotta, if you have Roku, subscribe and add that channel to you, and you can always watch us and everybody else who is having their shows on that page. So I'm ready to start. I am super excited. Raquel, take it on. Let's get this conversation started.
So, hi everyone. I'm Dr. Rock, Doc Rock, Raquel, whatever you want to call me. Super excited to be here. Sis, how was your day before we get started? Let's talk about how was your day.
How was my day? Today has been a day for me, my friend. Today has been a day for me. It was great. I had some great Zumba classes. We had some interesting conversations in class today that I might share later on. Um,
Ooh.
and it's really, I had a wonderful leadership training today. So with that crew. So thank you for asking. And I'm just grateful to be here. The
Awesome.
child is out of the house with the hubby, so we can chat easier. And how about you?
Awesome. I had a good day. I was productive, which is always a good thing. So, guys, listen, tonight we want to start the topic. We understand May is Mental Health Awareness Month, but as we all know, it is not just one month. Mental health awareness is all the time. So, tonight we're going to start our conversation on mindset. I want you to start thinking about something. So I'm going to pose a question. You can throw your comments in the chat. We'll read it, but I want you to think about this question as we move on during tonight's episode, okay? How is blaming others enhancing your life? That's the question. How is blaming
Mm.
others enhancing your life? Now, Regina and I are both excited to be discussing a topic that is super important. We're both very passionate about it. And I'm going to kick it off to my sister to start the conversation rolling on mindset and what it is. And she's going to do her thing. So go ahead, sis.
Yeah, we've been talking about this. And the first thing that comes to mind for me when we're talking about about mindset is how do we even come up with, there's two things around mindset for me. There's what's called a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. So what are we talking about here? You know, I want everybody to take a moment and kind of stop and be quiet and listen to that little voice in your head that's going on. Now, if you're saying, what little voice? I don't got no little voice going on in there. That's the voice I'm talking about. Right? That's the one. What is she talking about? She a crazy girl? Yeah, no, that's the one I'm talking about. Now, let's go real quick. Research has shown over and over again that we have approximately between 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day.
Mm.
60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. Some conscious, some unconscious. But they're all going on. Why? Because we're busy and we got lots of things going on. Most of the stuff from what happened yesterday or last year or way back in the day. And
Mm.
then the things that didn't get done today. And how about the future? All of the things that we want to do, We have like projects to do. That's a lot of things to be going on in our mind right now. So that's a little bit about that mindset, about where all of this. So I'm interested, since you're so interested, sis, what do you think about that when I say 60, 70,000 thoughts? And it's about what hasn't been done, what we didn't get to do way back when we were younger, now and ahead. What are you thinking?
Well, while you were talking, I had about 60 or 70,000 thoughts ran through my head. So I guess I'm at 120 for the day. But you are absolutely right. And these thoughts come from, like you said, different places. And the thoughts are sometimes beneficial to
Mm-hmm.
me. Let me talk about me. And sometimes there are thoughts that are like, oh, you can't do this. Let me give you a thought that ran through my head today. I was super productive this morning. And then when it was time for me to go to spin class, this thought came in my head like, you know what? Don't go. You need to stay and get ready for the show and all this other stuff. Right, that came into my head. And then my body started to say, yeah, we're just gonna relax. And then I was like, yeah, no, both y'all need to get your minds right and get it together because we are going to spin. Why? Because I have a goal in mind, a health goal. I want to be healthy. I don't want to be super thin. There's nothing wrong with thin, but for me, it's healthy, right? You can be thin and not healthy, big and not healthy. Whatever it is, I, Raquel, want to be healthy. So I got my mind and my body together and I was like, let's go. I don't care if we have to drag ourselves. I even left home early. So those are several thoughts that come. And sometimes the thoughts come bow, 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 right behind one behind the other. Doesn't even give you a chance to breathe. And that's how it was hitting me today. But I went back to what is it that I want to accomplish? And I
Mm-hmm.
cannot accomplish that on the couch. So those are
Yeah.
my thoughts that came. But you're right about the fix and the growth mindset. But can you tell us a little bit about what's the difference between the two?
Okay, so before I jump on that, Sharon's on here and says everyone has to take responsibility for their own actions, and sometimes people do not. They pass the buck. Mm. Sharon, I want that there. Like, if there's any way we can keep that going, because that's going to get us into the blame game later on that we're talking about. I love that. I'm going to quickly answer what you were saying. So, this fixed mindset versus growth mindset. There's a popular conversation that's been around for a long time called a limiting belief, right? So, I put limiting beliefs in this fixed mindset. And our limiting beliefs are like these judgments about ourselves
Mm,
that we think are true and they restrict us.
mm,
All right. So I'm
yes.
going to have everybody take a moment right now and think about this. Where in your life do you feel restricted? Like, is there something in your life that you're like, I'm not going to go there right now? That's too scary. That's like, I'm not doing that. Is there
Wow.
anything that you can think of that's going on in your life right now, Raquel, that you're like, that's restricting you? Like, what's that one thing that you got in there, the one that's there, but you're like, haven't done yet? Or like, you're like, not going to do it?
What
Uh-oh.
came to my mind, honestly, guys, since we're talking about, we do real talk here, is am I really going to put myself out there to start dating again? So now tens of thousands of people are watching me say, listen, guys, the real conversation is I'm a beast. When it comes to my professional life and what I want to do and how I want to do it, I got that. But when it comes to my personal life, I'm kind of like, whew, yeah, I want to do this. The real thing is for me, I just don't know how.
Hmm.
Right. So for me,
So
it's
there
the
you
how.
go. That's perfect. But there's this, I'm not going to put myself out there, right? Because there's something that's happened way back in your past,
Mm,
way back in your past, some kind of limiting belief. So, what is that, Raquel, about yourself? Like for myself, I've wanted to do this album. I've written songs, original songs. I've had them for 11 years. I have not recorded them and I have not put them out there. And when I think about it, my stomach just starts turning because there's this
mm,
limiting belief that, I have like, I can't. Like I can't, right? I don't wanna, right? You know, I just can't do it because, and then whatever that like that judgment is, it's the judgment of what I think other people are going to think, you know, it's all of that that's there. And Susan Schaefer threw it beautifully because she asserts to you and to me, yeah, you do know how to do it, but I just don't wanna, right? You just don't wanna, Raquel. You just don't wanna put yourself out there. I just don't wanna put myself out there around my music because there's some limiting belief that has stopped me when I was younger. It's a story, guys. It's some
Mm.
story. It is that little story. Something happened. Because here's how the mind works. The mind works is we're fight and flight, right? There's fight and flight. So something happens. Our mind is a meaning making machine. We're all wired that way. We are all wired that way. It absorbs information, ba, 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 ba. It has to make a meaning about it, and then boom, it spits it out. That's how it is. We all, every single one of us have that. Now we experience something, the machine goes on, it makes a meaning, and really it's out to protect us. It's out to protect us. So there's a fight or a flight that's there. Now let's go to when we're kids. When we're
Mm.
kids, something happens, and we're either going and I'll tell my story of like the whole idea, let's go to dating. So my dating story here is that I've been in relationships since I'm in 7th grade. I've always had somebody in my life, and I have never been broken up with.
So
Never.
wait, do you do the breaking up?
Oh, hell yeah.
I love it. She's like, yeah, let me do you before you do me.
That's it. And
Mm.
including my first marriage, I'm the one who asked for the divorce, right? Now, why? Like, where's that? Like, what's the limiting? What are you talking about, Regina? What's that limiting belief? It's like, so this whole like, you're not gonna hurt me kind of conversation.
Mm.
Like, you're not gonna hurt me. And that this limiting belief really comes from, this time in my life when I was a little kid, a little bit younger than my daughter in nursery school. I was playing this game and we run to go kiss the boy, like the little boy. His name is Christopher
Y'all are so
Sherbox.
fresh in elementary school. What?
I was. No, we were nursery school, so we weren't there yet. And the bottom line is I kissed, we run to go kiss him first. And what happens? I run and I do it. I kiss him first. And what do you think all the cute little nursery school kids did when I kissed him on the cheek?
I was too
What do
smart
you
for nursery school. I didn't go, so I don't know.
think?
But
Ooh,
can I say, "Oh, that's your boyfriend," or "That's nasty," or the boy
right.
probably said, "Oh, that's nasty.
Perfect,
Don't do
right?
that." Yeah,
So you
ugly.
got
I don't like
people
that.
who are like saying, ooh, and so people were laughing, pointing, saying all the little things that little
Mm-hmm.
kids do, right? All the little things that they're doing. Mostly I remember being laughing. But the
Mm.
thing that occurred is that that I was like, it hurt. Like it was just like people are laughing at me, people are pointing at people, and I did not like that feeling. And
Mm.
his mind made up some story and some meaning to protect me. So I'll never have that again.
Wow.
Right. So I'll never have that feeling because it's like there's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. I'm, you know, the tomboy that I've always been told my whole life. She's such a tomboy. She's such a tomboy. So I had that whole thing going on. Like, I'm going to prove to everybody I'm this like pretty girl and I can get a boy. But they did what they did. And
Mm.
so from that moment on, I didn't even know until later on in life how that was running my whole entire dating life. So
Wow.
I always broke up because anytime there was that moment in fear, like when I felt like I wasn't good enough, like he might be looking at somebody else, like whatever, 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 and they would just be in themselves and doing whatever they were doing. But my little girl was still in there going, I'm not going to let him get me, boom,
Mm.
out the door, out the door. I carried that backpack all the way up until the age of 40. All the way up
Wow.
until the age of 40. Yep. So that limiting belief of I'm not good enough, like I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, like all of that was there from that situation. And that limiting belief has like protected me through all my relationships. And that is something that still, even though I'm inside of an amazing marriage, Josh, once in a while rears its ugly head. And so in this mental health awareness month, what's super important is to see those limiting beliefs, where they impact you, where they show up. It's an awareness. It's an awareness of that. And then what's the actions that I'm going to take? Now, I'm like, this is real talk. I tell this story, I'm telling this to thousands of people, like thousands of people know my story now. And it's important so that they can have me be held accountable to see me as like the woman that I'm totally dedicated to. I love my husband. I love my relationship. I am strong in this relationship. And I'm not going to have that little girl kind of get hurt and impacted just because she still hasn't been like healed from that boy from way back in the day. And I
So
had
let me
that.
ask you this question. You
Yeah,
said
man.
sometimes she rears her head. When she does, what do you do?
Ooh. Here's the thing. I'm super grateful that Josh is in this type of conversation that Raquel and I are talking about, right? We've done a lot of work. I met him. She knows the story. I met him in a really awesome personal growth and development course. I manifested a man who like knows me better than I even know me. like so I don't run anywhere. I don't get to go anywhere because when she shows up, and of course it's him because it's him,
Mm.
boom, he's like, he knows. He's like, hey, I get it. I'm not him, right? And that's not you. What do you need? Like he knows how to do that. And I also have people like you and a ton of other people in my life where sometimes I'm just, I got to feel it, and he's like, she's got to feel what she needs to feel, and I have that community. This is what we're talking about, rise and thrive together. That community that holds me to know myself bigger than that little girl who's like hurting. And there were days I'm by myself, right? And I cry and I journal and and I do all these things. I have a list, like my speed dial, like people like my, Dr. Rock, right? Susan Schaefer, there's a ton of people I can go on that list for. It's really important. I'm about community. You know that. It's why I
Mm.
wanted to do this with you. I'm all about community. So I have my community people that I can speak to where I feel safe, I feel heard, but I also telling them that truth, that story, that limiting belief, so that they can remind me that's your limiting belief you know like that's the thing that's stopping you right now. So that's where I'm at for me.
Okay. Well, let me give you a little encouragement. So, Diane said, you are depriving us of your beautiful voice and the story you have to tell. So, girl, get them 11 songs. Go on and do
I didn't
something
say
with
11.
them,
Wait,
sweetie.
did she just say 11? I got 4 or 5. I didn't say
Oh, I
11.
said 11. I'm making stuff up. Sorry, my bad. If it's those 4 songs, you are depriving Diane and the rest of the world. So, go on and put them out there. I mean, what do you have to lose, right?
Exactly. So thank you, Diane. Awesome. And so we say to Raquel the same thing. You're depriving
I knew that was
yourself,
coming. I thought it was coming in the comments, so I was looking, but I didn't think it was gonna come from you, sis. But I got you. I got you.
right? Or you're
But
depriving
let me just
you.
let y'all know, I did put myself out there once, and the person, it was on online dating, right? I'm really bad with that stuff. And so we went out, we went to Starbucks because I am not one who does dinner on a first date. Takes too long. If I'm not having a good time, I need a quick exit to roll out. And judge me all you want, I'm good with it. And so he decided he forgot his wallet in the car and he's patting his pockets when we got to the counter to pay. And so I'm like, all right, not a big deal. Tell me what you want. Y'all already know how that went, right? That was a one and done. So I do, and I will put myself out there. I will. I've said it now to tens of thousands of people. So I will do it because I have all of you holding me accountable.
Yes.
Now, with the mindset fixed growth, these limiting beliefs. Let me ask you this question, sis. Do you think people get involved in this blame game? What is this blame game?
Yeah, well, so that's so great because we're wired with all of this, information that comes in, these stories that come in. We're meaning making machines. It is we are, how am I going to say this? I think we've talked about this a lot. So a lot of all of these limiting beliefs come from, the minute we're born, where we inherit these conversations around the way we were brought. I'm not here to blame parents. So let's get this straight, or your caregivers. It's we are who we are based on social environment,
Mm,
economic environment, the people around us, from our caregivers to, teachers, like all of that, right? Take away judgment, no right or wrong. It just is what it is. And it is so wiring where we're just like, I could sit there and tell the story about my ex-husband or my ex-boyfriend and say, boom, 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 it was him with this and him with that. And trust me, those who are watching know I've done that. And I've cleaned that conversation up because he had his stuff, I had my stuff, but I was responsible. He had no chance with me. He was like still with a little 5-year-old girl at 30. I didn't even know that, right? So that it's so much easier to go,
yeah,
than look at yourself. And I think Sharon put that up there in the first, that goes back to what Sharon said. We're wired that way. You know, I'm going to throw this at you because this is what came up for me. I am dealing with someone that is coming across to me that I so want to blame, like boom, 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 boom. And through a lot of this work, it's when I get triggered, when I like blame you, it's a mirror opportunity to see myself and where I'm right. Like, where am I acting that way with myself and with somebody else? And so
right.
that is where it switches. And I'm like, wow, if I want to be like, Josh, you did this. Lexi, even like my 6-year-old, right? Lexi, it's where was that? Lexi and I had that again tonight. Boom. It was looking at myself like, where am I, whatever that situation is. And that's a lot of years. It's my commitment. It's my commitment to my growth and my development, the growth mindset, right? To shed away and shatter those limiting beliefs. They're not truths, they're just based on circumstances and situations that happened in our life that we made meaning about. Story
Right.
making machine, meaning making machine, all of that stuff.
So is it fair to say, let me jump in with Sharon's comment first and then I'll go on.
Yeah.
Sharon said, everyone is responsible for their own actions. Sometimes
Mhm.
people do not, they pass the buck. That's
Yeah.
what she said earlier, right?
Yeah.
Which is absolutely true. And we all know passing the buck is a lot easier than looking at myself and saying, hey, what's my part and what am I responsible for? So when you were talking about past relationships, I was big on the blame game. I think I invented it. I created the rules for it, and that's what it was all about. It was all about me and blaming. And girl, don't worry about typos. We good. We got you. We got you. We got you. And so I got into the blame game. As I said, I was the creator. Thank you. And not really for whoever created the blame game, just joking. People take stuff a little seriously. But for me, it was easier to blame than to do self-reflection and see my part in it. Now, I didn't do everything, but it took a lot for me, a lot of growth, a lot of introspection, a lot of my friends saying, okay, we're not doing this with you anymore. We kind of need you to move on. But
Mhm.
we move on when we're ready. And sometimes we're ready and we make up excuses not to move on. So here's what I've found is that when we're blaming other people, we are always rationalizing that it's somebody else's fault how I ended up the way I am,
Yep.
right? We don't want to take, like Sharon said, we don't want to take responsibility for our actions because that means we look at it as you said it earlier, so it's about right or wrong. That makes us wrong. And it's not about a right or wrong. It is about accepting responsibility. It is about stop trying to rationalize everything. Listen, guys, this is life. This is not the game of life. Some people think this is this is the game. It's called life. And guess what? Stuff is going to happen. Even if you're a good person, bad things happen to you. And no one's saying that the bad thing happening is your fault. It's not a fault. It's a reality that things just happen. What happens when these things in life take place is that we want to place the blame. And we need to get to a point where we're not doing that. We're not placing blame. We take responsibility for our actions. Now, yes, some things that happen to us are unfair, unjust. We did nothing to deserve it. But if it was solely based on that, then people wouldn't be doing these things to us. So again, it's this thing called life that we have. And this blame game. My question was, how is blaming others enhancing your life? Right? Because there are a lot of people, sis, that I find that I run into that blame their parents for the way that they are. And here's something that I heard, and I found it interesting. It was an interesting perspective on blaming parents for how you are now. But when you become a parent, you're the opposite, the total opposite of your parents. And someone said you need to call your parents and thank them for being the way they were, for not paying you any attention, for leaving you to raise yourself, for ignoring you because it made you the person that you are. But as human nature would have it, we always swing to the negative and we don't see, hey, we took a stand for who we really want to be. And we know we don't want to be like our parents, but here's the challenge. Some of us focus so much on what we don't want, we have no clue what we really want. So it becomes a little shifting of the mindset. Let me jump in here. Sharon said, that was me many years ago when I had a very serious gambling addiction. I blamed everyone else. Sharon, I want to commend you for putting that out there and sharing of yourself and being vulnerable with us. We truly appreciate that. When I finally took responsibility, I started to heal. It didn't enhance my life, it was pure hell. Take a stand. That is perfectly said. You have to stand. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. So what will you stand for? You know, our hope is that you will stand for you and what you really and truly want. My question, I have a lot of questions tonight, is do you really know what you want? See, most people know what they don't want. We focus our energies there. It's hard for people to say what they want because somewhere along the line, like sis said earlier, you were told, I'll tell you what it is that you want. This was instilled in us, and we haven't gotten to the point yet where we can take that stand for ourselves and say, this is what I want. Because somebody may have laughed at us, like they laughed at Regina for kissing the boy or whatever it is. But when do we get to the point where we take a stand for who we are, who we want to be, and put in action to become that person? Okay, these are questions. What? Thank you. It's all a part of healing. No, really and truly, Sharon, I appreciate that. Thank you. Because Regina and I are here being vulnerable, and we appreciate our audience also being vulnerable. But ladies and gentlemen, we do have to kind of wrap this up. We will continue this conversation because it's an extremely important one. And I want you guys to remember, please remember this. Together, we can rise and thrive. Till next time.